Good morning, fam. This is Coach Tom with The Path Strength and Conditioning here in Westland, Oregon. The kids up here just started their summer vacation, so I thought it'd be a perfect time to talk about the importance of an off season, letting your kids have an off season with youth sports. Not talked enough. I know that to many of you, especially a lot of you parents that are just getting started with competitive youth athletics, it's going to sound very counterintuitive, and it's going to go against a lot of what club teams and travel teams are trying to sell you, quite honestly. In today's youth sports culture, we are encouraged to go all year round. We want travel teams, we want fall ball, spring ball, summer ball. They want us signing contracts that we're going to follow through on all of their leagues all year round, that we're going to have commitments, practice commitments 3, 4, 7 times a week, that we may be allowed to play some, or may be able to play school sports as well, but our commitments to the club team don't go away, right? But the truth of the matter is that even professional athletes have off seasons. If it's valuable to professionals who are making their living with this, why don't we feel that it's important for our younger athletes, right? This dedicated time off is not just to rest, but to build in order to improve for the following year, right? If your goal is long-term development and not just short-term trophies, the off season is where the magic really happens. All right. Now, of course, especially for the really young athletes out there, year-round skill development does have a place. I'm not saying game speed activities of all the running and the jumping and the sprinting and all the cutting on different surfaces. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that for youth athletes, we do need to have some year-round skill development, potentially. I liken it to kids coming off a summer break in school, right? For a lot of these kids, that first 2 weeks is reviewing what they did over the last month of the last year, right? During summer, we tend to forget things. And the same thing can happen with kids and their athletic pursuits. The first few practices can be a little rough, and they may need to brush up on some tactics and skills. And if I understand, that we don't want their first foray back into a sport to be on tryout day, right? And so there is an impulse to keep them working all year round. But the off season is really, really important, guys, right? For one, you're going to be building, that's where you're going to build your size and strength, right? Because you can dedicate that time that you spent working as a team, really honing their skills. You can spend all that time on their physical development, and you can really dial in their rest and recovery. Right? This is also the time that we can fix imbalances. So we don't want just successful athletes on the field, pitch, and mat and court. We want healthy, successful people into adulthood. Now, many sports are isolateral, right? Where the right and left sides of your body are doing things. Think about pitching in baseball, swinging a bat in baseball, lacrosse, if you're a football quarterback, heck, even combat sports, right? A lot of the times they're not ambidextrous in their movements. One side is very dominant. And this leads to major imbalances in muscular development, in mobility. It really can take a toll on a kid's body. This time off, like I said before, we really dial in their chance, really dial in their rest and recovery. And we're not talking about just physically, but also mentally. When you are in game speed, you're talking fight or flight mode. Right? We want to down-regulate that nervous system and let them just have fun. Let their brains relax and grow and develop the way they really need to as a youth. And then we want to have the chance, have the time to develop those qualities that really don't get enough attention while you're in season. So we're talking things like mobility and stability and general biomechanics, your GPP, general physical preparedness. Those things really get left behind once you get into the competitive season, right? As your athlete gets older, the demands on their body not only increase, but the games are also getting faster. They're getting more dynamic. The collisions, if there are any, are getting harder. The schedules get more intense, right? And with that, the risk of injury goes way, way up, right? So we need to focus on letting our kids have an off season, especially as they get older, so that they can recuperate, they can rest, they can build, and they can approach that next season at their absolute best. And we do have to resist the temptation, resist the sales pitch. Don't forget, there is a monetary motivation, an incentive for a lot of these club teams and academy teams to keep you with them and on the pitch for as long as possible. All right. And these kids, when they're not allowed to take their foot off the gas, we're setting them up for failure. We're setting them up for injury. Right? A structured, well-structured off-season training plan is how we protect our athletes from themselves and from these hyper-competitive schedules, overuse injuries, major imbalances. We protect them from all of those, and we prepare them to perform at their best when the time is right. Right? So what does a well-structured off-season training program look like? Early in the off-season, we really need to focus on strength and hypertrophy, right? Building muscle and getting them strong. We're talking raw strength. Big compound movements. For some of our younger athletes that are unable to do push-ups, bench presses, deadlifts, actually putting a barbell on their back, we're going to hammer on the body weight stuff until we get them to a point where they have enough proprioception, body awareness, that they can really load up the weight and hammer those skills. In that mid to late off-season period, that's where we're going to transition to more athletic conditioning. This is where we're going to take that raw strength and size and condition them to be able to apply it to their sport a little bit more. We're not talking about skill development, but we're talking about transferring the raw strength into speed and power and agility. Right? We're going to teach them how to absorb the impact of all this new mass as well. Right? So all this muscle can be like armor, but it's also increased load on their joints when they're cutting and stopping and jumping. So we need to train their bodies to handle this new mass as well. And then, just before the season starts, we need to start tapering down. Right? We need to maintain the athletic condition, keeping them sharp, keeping them fast, and really get them ready to hit the ground running once that season says, hey, everybody show up. We're going to start doing that 2 weeks of skill redevelopment. We want them to be totally physically and mentally prepared to really hammer it. So we taper down at the end of the off season so that they can start ramping up for the real competition. Right? And it doesn't matter what the sport is. The principles are the same. You don't get better just by playing more games and just hammering the skills over and over again. Right? You get better by training smart and taking advantages of those times away from the sport to develop physically and mentally. Right? So if you are a parent, a coach, or even an athlete out there, really build an off season into your calendar. Make time to train and recover and grow, and you are going to see gains on the field or pitch from that. Right? It's really the best investment you can make in your athlete's health, performance, and their future, not just as an athlete, but as a person. So if any of you out there are interested in starting a training program with me, I'd love to hear from you. You can shoot me a message in my DMs. Anyone in the Lake Oswego, West Linn, Oregon City area, happy to help you all out. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about these. If there's any other subjects that you'd like me to cover in the meantime. Thanks so much. Stay safe, train hard.